Hello friends, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Atika Tajdar from Department of Geography, Jamia Millia Islamia. Today we will discuss about environmental policies. The learning objectives are to know about various environmental policies in India, to highlight the need of Ganga Action Plan, role of Maharashtra in tiger protection, give an account of drinking water problem in rural India and and the temporal dimension of various legislative laws. Policies is the sum total of the value to which a person or a group of person or institution social, legal and governmental consider as important in their relation with one another. Environmental policies have to be formulated in credible of social morals and values. The public opinion representing the views of both the elite expert and lay public. A clear vision should be there reflecting all the conflicting values, and the vision is called policy and the translation into legal framework called law. The goal of the environmental policy may be formulated in several ways: to protect human health, ensure viability of wildlife, preservation of historic monuments, stopping further degradation of the environment, etc. The policy is the overall environmental intention and direction, forming the backbone of a skeletal framework from which all other environmental components are hung, including environmental management systems, audits, assessments and reports. India, though, has a long way to go to attain environmental quality of the same kind of those enjoyed in developed economies, has made one of the fastest progress in the world in addressing its ecological issue and improving its environmental quality between 1995 through 2010. Environmental policies in India have been evolved considerably over the past 3 decades. The policy have been responsive to the emerging concern of both local and global origin. Policies have covered a wide range of issues such as air and water pollution, waste management, biodiversity conservation, which is the policy statement of abatement of pollution 1992, the forest policy 1988. However, the policy have traditionally been aimed at environmental protection and geared toward responding to local issues. India faces challenges in economic development which is to be met for limited resources with minimum externalities, and in presence of an uncertain climate. One of the approaches to overcome this challenge is through the path of sustainable development. The present national policies for environmental management are contained in the National Forest Policy 1988, the National Conservation Strategy and Policy Statement on Environment and Development 1992, Policy Statement on Abatement of Pollution 1992, some sector policies such as the National Agricultural Policy 2000, the National Agricultural Policy 2000, National Population Policy 2000 and National Water Policy 2002 have also contributed towards environmental management. All of these policies have recognized the need of sustainable development in their specific context and formulated necessary strategies to give effect to such recognition. The National Environment Policy seeks to extend the coverage and fill in gap that still exist in light of present knowledge and accumulated experience. It does not displace but build on the earlier policies. Some of the major environmental policies and programs are discussed here. Ganga Action Plan. Ganga, the longest river in India, has a unique position in Indian physiology. Apart from geographical scale and spread, she has played a vital role in the social, cultural, economic and political life of the country. The socio-economic changes in the post-industrialization era have adversely affected the flow and quality of the river water, leading to pollution of the river. In order to reduce the pollution of this river, the Government of India has been implementing a pollution abatement program since last 25 years. Ganga Action Plan is inertia in taking action to reduce the level of pollution stemmed largely from a widespread belief that the Ganga as a holy river had the ability to purify all that came into contact with it. Although there is some scientific evidence for the Ganga river's high capacity to assimilation. a large level of organic waste input including pathogens, but no river can sustain its self-purifying power with this kind of overuse, misuse and abuse of its water. Objective of Ganga Action Plan. The objective at the time of launching the Ganga Action Plan in 1985 was to improve the water quality of Ganga to acceptable standard by preventing the pollution load from reaching the river. Later in 1987, on the recommendations of the Monitoring Committee of Ganga Action Plan, the objective of the plan was modified to restoring the river water quality to the designated best use class of Ganga, which is bathing class. A plan of action was developed in order to achieve these objectives. Firstly, those actions that addressed the major direct cause of pollution in the Ganga were identified as core sector scheme. Core sector schemes include the interception and diversion of domestic water. Core sector scheme include the interception and diversion of domestic wastewater, including the construction and rehabilitation of sewers and pump houses. Secondly, those that address indirect sources or sources deemed to be direct but of a lower impact were called non-core sector. This scheme consisted of the installation of crematoria, riverfront development and aesthetic improvement, implementation of low-cost sanitation system and miscellaneous activities such as water quality monitoring, research programs and identification and management of waste from grossly polluting industries. Tiger project in Maharashtra. Tiger is national heritage of India. Government of India created a scheme known as Project Tiger from 1st April 1973. In this scheme, initially 9 areas were identified which were natural habitat of tiger, having potential to increase the population of tigers. Today, there are 26 Project Tigers in India. The Maharashtra Forest Department and its wildlife wing have come under tight scrutiny and given their gloomy demonstration when it comes to conserving tiger. The latest figures showed a 30% rise in the population of tiger nationwide, while Maharashtra recorded a 12% increase. According to figure released by the Ministry of Environment and Forest, the population of big cats in Maharashtra stood at 190 from 169 in 2010. The state, particularly Vidarbha region, was publicized as destination for tiger-centric tourism in Nagpur, the tiger capital of India. It is ironic that in 4 years the population of tiger in the state rose just by 21 despite spending crore and building several wildlife sanctuaries and tiger projects. In this period, the state even restricted industrial activity and gave liberal promotion to forest officer and created more posts of protection and conservation of wildlife. The National Tiger Conservation Authority rated Tadoba, Pinch and Melghat tiger project, and in fact, Tadoba was probably the first tiger reserve in the country where 32 cubs were spotted since January 2010 and most of them have survived. The NTCA rated Tadoba, Melghat and Pinch tiger project from good to very good for protection, conservation and effective management of wildlife there, while Sahyadri is from fair to good. The main tiger project in Maharashtra state are Melghat, which was declared a tiger reserve and was among the first 9 tiger reserves notified in 1973-74 under the Project Tiger. It is located in northern part of Amravati. Melghat was declared a tiger reserve and was among the first 9 tiger reserves notified in 1973-74 under the Project Tiger. It is located in northern part. Melghat was declared a tiger reserve and was among the first 9 tiger reserves notified in 1973-74 under the Project Tiger. It is located in northern part of Amravati district, Maharashtra state. It is located in northern part of Amravati district of Maharashtra state in India. Presently, the total area of the reserve is around 1677 km square. The Melghat Tiger Reserve has been awarded first prize among the all tiger reserve in the country for village relocation from core area. Tadoba Andhri Tiger Reserve. It is a tiger reserve in Chandrapur district of Maharashtra. Total area of the reserve is 1727 km square. There are 88 tigers as of August 2016 in the reserve and 58 in the forest immediately outside the reserve. Tadoba Reserve covered the Chimur Hills and the Andhari Sanctuary. Tadoba Reserve covered the Chimur Hills and the Andhari Sanctuary covers Moharli and Kolsa ranges. It bounded on the northern and the western side by densely forested hills. Sahyadri Tiger Reserve is a reserve in the state of Maharashtra. It was created by the Indian government in 2008 and is a part of the ecoregion of Northwestern Ghat, which constitute rich evergreen, semi-evergreen and moist deciduous forest. Bor Tiger Reserve is a wildlife sanctuary which was declared as a tiger reserve in July 2014. It is located near Hingani in Wardha district in the Indian state of Maharashtra. It is a home to a variety of wild animals. The reserve covers an area of 138.12 km square, which include the drainage basin of the Bor Dam. Bor Tiger Reserve is currently located among several other Bengal tiger habitats. It has become the 47th tiger reserve in India. Drinking water in rural areas. Water deprivation of the poorest is a widely recognized phenomenon all over the world. It is estimated that over 1 billion people across the world do not have access to safe, clean drinking water, although as a basic human need, it is an integral constituent of the right to life. Reducing this number by half by 2015 is one of the United Nations Millennium Development Goal for which India has committed to achieve. Water scarcity, which is broadly understood as the lack of access to adequate quantity of water for human and environmental uses, is considered to be one of the most important global risks for society. Global water demand are expected to increase in the future because of the increasing population, urbanization and industrialization. In addition, aspects of climate change and anticipated increases in extreme weather events are expected to contribute to increase in the frequency, severity and duration of drought, which can exacerbate water availability problem. In addition, aspects of climate change and anticipated increase in extreme weather events are expected to contribute to increase in the frequency, severity and duration of droughts, which can exacerbate water availability problems. The average annual per capita water availability was 1816 meter cube in 2001, which decreased to 1545 meter cube in 2011. India currently is facing water stress and the demand for water is continuously increasing. India's drinking water crisis has become severe over the past decade. Increasing demand on available water resources for intensive agricultural practices and industrial use, together with increasing demand on available water resources for intensive agricultural practices and industrial use, together with deteriorating water quality, constrained drinking water availability despite massive outlays for drinking water and sanitation infrastructure. Although most of the water supply and sanitation scheme by India's government have penetrated into rural areas and cover many households, about 74% of the rural households are fully covered. Many households, about 26%, had no drinking water facilities until 2009. Moreover, there are growing concern about the sustainable use of groundwater and surface water with respect to emerging issues of inequity of water distribution and access. Although the government assures that drinking water is available in most rural areas, the quality of that drinking water supply is a problem. Currently, a large proportion of India's rural community is consuming water that does not meet the WHO drinking water quality standards. The rural population of India comprises more than 700 million people residing in about 1.42 million habitations spread over 15 diverse ecological regions. It is true that providing drinking water is such a large population It is true that providing drinking water to such a large population is an enormous challenge. The health burden of poor water quality is enormous. The problem of chemical contamination is also prevalent in India. Steps taken by government. Now let us discuss the steps taken by the government. The government has undertaken various programs since independence to provide safe drinking water to the rural masses, such as the provision of clean drinking water has been given priority in the Constitution of India, with Article 47 conferring the duty of providing clean drinking water and improving public health standard to the state. Till the 10th plan, an estimated total of rupees 1,105 billion is spent on providing safe drinking water. Government cited the clean and safe distribution of water in the country, access to adequate water as a primary factor. As per Census 2011, about 30.80% of rural households in the country get tap water and 70.60% of the urban households of the country are covered with the tap water supply. The National Rural Drinking Water Program of Ministry of Drinking Water and Sanitation provide technical and financial assistance to the state to provide safe and adequate drinking water to the rural population. The Ministry of Drinking Water and Sanitation has prepared a strategic plan for coverage of rural households with piped water. Under the plan, the following timelines have been laid out. By 2017, it should be ensured that at least 50% of rural households are provided with piped water supply. At least 35% of rural households have piped water supply with a household connection. Less than 20% use public taps, and less than 45% use hand pumps and other safe and adequate private water sources. All services meet set standard in terms of quality and number of hours of supply every day. By 2022, it should be ensured that at least 90% of the rural households are provided with piped water supply. At least 80% of rural households have piped water supply with a household connection. Less than 10% use public taps and less than 10% use hand pumps or other safe and adequate private water sources. Data regarding supply of potable safe drinking water through individual household taps connection is not maintained in the Ministry of Drinking Water and Sanitation. Thus, the table reveals that there is clearly an urgent need to provide adequate drinking water to our rural population from unnecessary health risks, medical expenditures and morbidity caused by consumption of unsafe water. It has been estimated, for instance, that improved quality of water supply reduces diarrheal morbidity by 6% to 25%. Hygiene interventions including hygiene education and promotion of hand washing can lead to reduce of diarrhea causes by up to 45%. Improvement in drinking water quality through household water treatment such as chlorination at a point of use can lead to a reduction of diarrheal episodes by between 35% and 39%. And an integrated approach of providing water, sanitation and hygiene reduces the number of deaths caused by diarrheal disease by an average of 65%. Environmental laws. Environmental laws plays a very crucial and important role in regulating the use of natural resources and in protecting the environment. There should be effective legislation to protect the environment, or else the need of resources by the growing population will create havoc in the environment. Legislation also serves as a valuable tool for educating masses about their responsibility in maintaining healthy environment. The success of environmental legislation mainly depends on the way they are enforced. The Constitution of India obligates the states as well as citizens to protect and improve the environment. Objective of environmental laws. The key objective of environmental laws is to preserve and protect the nature's gift from pollution, to protect the man's fundamental rights of freedom, equality and adequate condition of life in an environment of quality that permit a life of dignity and well-being. Environmental Related Act. The Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act of 1974 and the Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act of 1974 and Amendment 1988. The Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act was enacted in 1974 with an objective to provide prevention and control of water pollution, maintaining or restoring of wholesomeness and purity of water, and establishment of central and state boards. Prior to its amendment in 1988, enforcement under the Water Act was achieved through criminal prosecution initiated by the boards and through application to magistrates for injunctions to restrain polluters. The 1988 amendment strengthened the Act's implementation, the pollution provision. Failure to comply with the direction of Act shall on conviction be punishable with imprisonment for a term which may extend it to 3 months or with fine which may extend it to 10,000 rupees or with both. The Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act of 1981 and Amendment 1987 to implement the decision taken at the United Nations Conference on the Human Environment held at Stockholm in June 1972, Parliament enacted the Nationwide Air Act with the objective to improve the quality of air and to prevent, control and abate air pollution in the country. The 1987 amendment strengthened the enforcement machinery and introduced stiffer penalties. Notably, the 1987 amendment introduced a citizens' suit provision into the Air Act and extended the Act to include noise pollution. Failure to comply with the provision of the Act or direction shall be punishable with imprisonment for a term which shall not be less than 1 year and 6 months, but which may extend it to 6 years, and by imprisonment for a term which may be extended to 10,000 rupees or with both. The Environment Protection Act 1986. It was the Bhopal gas tragedy which necessitated the Government of India to enact a comprehensive environmental legislation, including rules relating to storing, handling and use of hazardous waste. On the basis of these rules, the Indian Parliament enacted the Environment Protection Act 1986. This is an umbrella legislation that consolidated the provision of the Water Prevention and Control of the Pollution Act of 1974 and the Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act of 1981. Within this framework of this legislation, the government established Pollution Control Board in order to prevent, control and abate environmental pollution. The purpose of the Act is to implement the decision of the United Nations Conference on the Human Environment of 1972. The purpose of the Act is to implement the decision of the United Nations Conference on the Human Environment of 1972. Insofar as they relate to the protection and improvement of the human environment and the prevention of hazards to human being, other living creature, plant and property. The main objective of the Act are to improve the quality of environment, to lay down a standard for emission or discharge of environmental pollutants from various sources, handling of hazardous substances and the prevention of accidents. For such failure or contravention, the punishment included a prison term up to 5 years or fine up to 1 lakh or both. The Noise Pollution Rule 2000. The increasing ambient noise level in public places from various sources like industrial activity, generator sets, loudspeaker, vehicular horns, etc. have harmful effect on human health. It was the need of the hour to come with a law which would regulate and control noise producing sound with the objective of maintaining the ambient air quality standard in respect of noise. Therefore, the central government framed the Noise Pollution Regulation and Control Rule 2000. The rule explained the objective in these words is whereas the increasing ambient noise level in public places from various sources inter alia industrial activity, construction activity, generator sets, loudspeaker, public address system, music system, vehicular horns and other mechanical devices have deleterious effect on human health and the psychological well-being of the people. It is considered necessary to regulate and control noise producing and generating source with the objective of maintaining the ambient air quality standard in respect of noise. The Wildlife Protection Act 1972 and Amendment 1982 and 2006. The Act is meant to prevent the rapid decline of wild animal and bird in the country. Poaching of certain animals has been completely prohibited under this Act. The Wildlife Act provides for a State Wildlife Advisory Board regulation for hunting wild animal and birds, establishment of sanctuaries and national park, regulation for trade in wild animal product and trophies, and judicially imposed penalty for violating the Act. The Wildlife Act 1972 was amended by the Parliament in 2002. The main objective of this Act is to provide for protection of wild animal, bird and plant and for matter connected therewith or ancillary or incidental thereto with a view to ensuring the ecological and environmental security of the country. The Act was further amended in 2006 to set up of a tiger task force in tiger reserve hotspots. The Forest Act of 1980. After independence, the Government of India adopted the National Forest Policy wherein it emphasized on the need of protection of forest and categorized Forest of India. Alarmed at India's rapid deforestation and resulting environmental degradation, central government enacted the Forest Act in 1980. Under the provision of this Act, prior approval of the central government is required for the diversion of forest land for non-forest purposes. The Forest Act was promulgated in 1980 to make certain reform over the preceding Act of 1927, which imposes restriction on the reservation of forest or use of forest land and non-forest purposes by states. The state government are empowered to designate protected area and may prohibit the felling of trees, quarrying and the removal of forest produce from these forests. The preservation of protected forest is enforced through rules, licenses and criminal prosecutions. The Act has been passed to prevent deforestation, which result in ecological imbalance and environmental deterioration. Any unauthorized felling of trees, quarrying, grazing and hunting in reserved forests is punishable with a fine of imprisonment, or both. Reserved forests assigned to a village community are called village forest. Biodiversity Act 2000. The Biological Diversity Bill, which was introduced in the Parliament on 15th May 2000, was referred to the Department-related Parliamentary Standing Committee for Science, Technology, Environment and Forest for examination and report. The Biological Diversity Bill 2000 have been passed by the Lok Sabha on 2nd December 2002 and by the Rajya Sabha on the 11th December 2002. The main intent of this legislation is to protect India's rich biodiversity. The main intent of this legislation is to protect India's rich biodiversity and associated knowledge against their use by foreign individual and organization without sharing the benefit arising out of such use and to check biopiracy. The main intent of this legislation is to protect India's rich biodiversity and associated knowledge against their use by foreign individual and organization without sharing the benefit arising out of such use and to check biopiracy. The Act provides for setting up of a National Biodiversity Authority, a State Biodiversity Board and Biodiversity Management Committee in local bodies. NBA and SBB are required to consult BMC in decision relating to use of biological resources or related knowledge within their jurisdiction, and BMCs are to promote conservation, sustainable use and documentation of biodiversity. To conserve the biological diversity, sustainable use of the component of biodiversity and fair and equitable sharing of benefit arising out of the use of the PD are main To conserve the biological diversity, sustainable use of the component of biodiversity and fair and adequate sharing of benefit arising out of the use of the biodiversity are main objective of Biodiversity Act. India does not have lack of environmental policy, but proper implementation is not there. In the current scenario, it's become essential that India's authorities should strive to achieve a society where ideal and reality legislation and implementation correlate. When the authorities manage to fulfill their role, it enables corporations to better contribute to the society in a positive way. In the wake of recent damages, concerned authorities have started giving more attention toward environment, but what we need is to find out newer ways to deal with old problems. In the wake of recent damages, concerned authorities have started giving more attention toward environment, but what we need is to find out newer ways to deal with old problems. Without active involvement of common people, it is indeed difficult for the authorities to devise and implement proper environment policies. Hence, individuals' initiatives are of paramount importance. What we need is to adjust, not deep-seated change. Thank you.